When King made his speech against the Vietnam War, for which he was denounced by every party in the American establishment and by the civil rights movement, King was leaving his post for a lonelier one and saying that the injustice of America at home couldn't be separated from the violence and injustice of it abroad. Burke talks about that version of moral imagination in his speech on Fox's East India Bill. And he talks about the anomalous character of a commitment to justice that doesn't involve just our own, just people who are like us. If you succeed, Burke says in that speech, you save those who cannot so much as give you thanks. You're surrounded by the men who've got their fortunes in East India, and they're 6,000 miles away are the people you're trying to help. And it's hard for you even to know how to pronounce their names. If you succeed, you save those who cannot so much as give you thanks. It is an arduous thing to plead against abuses of a power which originates from your own country and affects those whom we are used to consider as strangers. That's one of my touchstone sentences. It is an arduous thing to plead against abuses of a power which originates from your own country and affects those whom we are used to consider as strangers. So that, I think, is an idea worked out into an aphorism of moral imagination, but it seems a very different notion of moral imagination than what we get from this talk about the wardrobe and using the fashions we are used to and not the newfangled ones. So it has to do, I think, in the deeper sense of the phrase that interests me, with justice to strangers, and not just justice to, so to speak, familiars. This is what's wrong with the idea of cultural identity. It's about primary loyalty being owed to familiars, people who we already know are like us, and we're constituted by that. So after all, what more should be asked? I am not selfish if I'm an American Jew with an enormous loyalty commitment and devotion of time to people, even outside my family, in the American Jewish community, or in the Black civil rights cause, or in the feminist cause, or whatever. So far from being political, and that sort of commitment seems to me to work against everything good and civic in politics, it is also moral on a much lower scale of the understanding of morality than the work of conscience. I think cultural identity is a sort of substitute for conscience, a terrible invention. And the academic defenders of it, in my view, have more to answer for than they've been made to answer for. It is partly a modern American academic invention, the idea that we are constituted by our identities.